Hi, and welcome back to Art a la Carte. Today I'm going to show you kind of a crafty art project you can do called Arctic Seas. Pretty much I'm just taking pieces of paper. I'm going to be layering them together to create a scene. And I'm going to be doing kind of an Arctic scene with some killer whales. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a scratch piece of black paper and I'm going to draw my basic shape for my killer whale. I'm not drawing any designs on it or anything like that, just the silhouette of it. And then I'll go ahead and cut it out of the paper. Alright, so I have just my basic silhouette. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white paper, just use a scratch piece of white paper, and I'm going to trace along my original silhouette and then define out the white markings that go on my killer whale. But basically what you're going to do is you want to layer on your different colors. So since killer whale is black and white, I'm taking black paper and then cutting out the white shapes to glue on top of the black shapes. So I'm cutting out the shapes, and then once I get them all cut out, then I will take some crafty sticky tacky glue and I will glue them onto my original piece. Just make sure that you have them in the right direction that they're supposed to go. I made a mistake on one and put the glue on the wrong side and that didn't work. So make sure that you put it on there, make sure it works, and then after you have it on there, then you can glue them on. I also cut out a small piece of paper for the little kind of eye patch that they have above their eye. And now that I have all the pieces, now I'll go ahead and glue those on. And knock all my pieces off. And I like this glue because it doesn't dry immediately, so I can kind of maneuver the pieces around to fit just perfectly back into the way I want them to be. Alright, so after you get them on, make sure they're glued on the right spot, and there you go. You have a little baby killer whale. He's so cute. So I'm going to do the same thing for the mother killer whale. I will just cut her out of black paper and then cut out her white patches from white paper. I'm just using construction paper, craft paper, whatever you feel works the best. Alright, now that we have our orca whales all cut out and ready to go, I'm going to work on the background. And I want it to be kind of in the Arctic ocean-y with lots of icebergs. So I'm just going to cut out some basic iceberg shapes. But I want to give them some depth and some dimension. So I'm using some foam paper that has a sticky side to it. You can use just regular foam paper and glue it on there, or pieces of cardboard. But I find the sticky side just kind of works to stack it in there. So I'm going to stick that on the back side, so it's going to add a little, it's going to pop that paper out a little bit, and it's going to add a little bit of a dimension to it. So I'm going to cut out a whole bunch of pieces, not just one, but I'll have all different sizes and shapes. So I can have some that are, really gigantic icebergs, some that are farther away, some that are closer together, and then I'm going to put the foam in the back. Now I want some to stick out farther than others, and you'll see I'll stack the foam a little bit thicker, maybe 2 or 3 foam sheets stacked on top of each other to give that illusion of depth. So here I'm going to put one up there, and here I've got one that has several stacks, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut a few more squares off of this one. I'm going to stack these squares together to give it kind of a little bit more height to it. And this is why I like the sticky side. But again, you don't have to use the foam stuff that has sticky. You can just glue it if you just have regular craft foam, or just thick pieces of cardboard. So there we go. So the last thing we'll need before we put all these elements together is our ocean water. And I'm going to use just some wax paper. You can use tissue paper, like for wrapping present tissue paper, as long as it's a little see-through. But I like wax paper, and I'll show you why in just a second. Now if you want to make it look like it has ripples, you can take and just run your fingernail across it, and that's why I really like wax paper, because it leaves these little tiny lines behind after you've used your finger, or you can use any kind of pointy object. You don't want it too sharp because you don't want it to cut the wax paper, but you'll see here as I run my finger across, I'm getting just these kind of cute, well, not cute, but nice white lines, kind of giving me nice texture to my water. Now if you want your water to be more opaque, you can actually double up on your wax paper. I want mine to be a little bit more see-through, so I'm only using one strength. Now I'm just going to go ahead and tape it down loosely. I want to be able to kind of still work underneath it, so I'm not going to glue it down. So I'm just going to tape the two sides but not the bottom, and you'll see why as I begin to put the elements together. You're going to need to get underneath the wax paper in a little bit. Now it's time to begin to layer up your icebergs, and I would suggest that you put the whole piece together without gluing anything down to make sure you have everything where you want it, and then go back and glue the pieces on. But if you're like me and like to work without a plan, then just go ahead and start gluing away and hope for the best. But it worked out good. I think it turned out fine. So putting a little bit of glue on the back of the foam pieces and pushing them down, and you can see kind of by the shadow behind the iceberg how that foam behind there is kind of pushing that iceberg up, and it gives it just a fun depth to this picture. As you're laying your icebergs down, don't forget to overlap them. Don't just have them all in one order, but overlap and try different positionings. Remember, the closer the icebergs get to you, the farther down on the paper they're going to be. So that will be something to think about when you're positioning everything up. Just have fun layering and creating and having fun with this. Alright, now we're ready to put another element in, which is some clouds. I'm going to use just this makeup, it's a makeup cotton swab, and I'm just going to lay some glue down first, kind of where I want my clouds to be, and then I'm going to use my finger and I'm going to smear that out so that it's nice and smooth. Then I'm going to take my makeup cotton swabby thing. I'm just going to dab it on there, and the glue is going to grab the cotton part and just pull these tufts out, and it really gives this cool effect of looking like clouds. Alright, so now we're ready to put the whales in the water. So I'm going to use my scissor, and I'm just going to use the tip of it to cut a slight slit in the water for my whale. And you'll see now I can work underneath that wax paper and be able to pull part of the whale up through that slit so it looks like it's coming up out of the water a little bit. Kind of play around with it before you glue it down to make sure that you have it exactly where you want it. And then once it's there, you can just add a little glue underneath there and it will hold it into place. Now I'm thinking I kind of want the slit to be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to just cut it open and then move the whale before my glue dries. I want a little bit more poking out. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing for the baby whale. had a little slit and put my little baby whale in there. I kind of decided on him jumping out or jumping in. And we'll have him diving back in the water. There we go, that's about where I want him, so I will put a little glue on the back of him and stick him in there. There we go. Alright, so now kind of with the same technique that I did with the clouds, I'm going to do to create a little kind of rippling in the water. So I'm going to add just a little bit of glue. I don't want a lot. In fact, I'll kind of smear it out with my finger. Just keep it smooth and add a little bit by the baby. And I'm going to take my cotton and just dab that along there. And it's just going to pull that off and make kind of look like little bit of rippling water as they were coming out of the ocean. There we go. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of white scribblers to add a little bit of shine on their backs, kind of make them look like they're a little bit wet as they're coming out of the water. You can do that, or you don't have to do that if you want to. I thought it looked kind of cool. But yeah, so this picture is just all about, you know, setting this up. You can do it with just about anything. I mean, you don't have to do whales. You could do flower gardens or, you know, outer space or whatever. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching my videos. Have a great day. God bless you. Bye-bye.